Good evening, and thank you all for joining us for this exciting special event. As many of you know, this celebration was originally scheduled for 2 weeks ago, but due to the situation in Israel, we knew we needed to postpone the party. It is remarkable that the very same reasons that we started Stand With Us 20 years ago are still so evident today. At least today, everyone can see the need more clearly than ever before. And I know that you will agree that the work of Stand With Us is more important than ever. Since the early beginnings of our organization, our greatest enemy has been ignorance. When people lack information, others can push their own political agendas and misinformation and win vulnerable hearts and minds. But together, you and I clarify what is real and what is true. During the month of May, Israel not only faced a heavy barrage of 4,000 deadly rocket attacks indiscriminately fired towards its civilians, putting millions in and out of bomb shelters, but it also faced heavy attacks online in the war for hearts and minds. We saw a horrific uptick in anti-Semitic attacks around the world, up over 500%, and we have watched in horror as many of our Jewish brothers and sisters internationally have been affected, even attacked physically, only because they are Jewish. Many of you stood up and said, "Hineni, I'm here," and you proudly joined us at rallies held all over the United States, Canada, the UK, and all across the world. You corrected misinformation you saw online, and you took a stand against anti-Semitism. We at Stand With Us are so grateful for your voice. It takes all of us to unequivocally stand up for the truth and stand against hate. Thank you for what you have done, and thank you for what you continue to do. You and I are joined as one heart by our deep love for Israel and the Jewish people. May we all see brighter times ahead, and may we continue to stand together to grow the Stand With Us movement. Happy birthday, Stand With Us.
Thank you for joining us tonight. As you know, last month here in Israel, we were under constant attack by the Iranian-backed terror group Hamas, forcing our staff and families into bomb shelters. I need to tell you, hearing sirens running in and out of bomb shelters as our home shook from the explosions in the sky while Iron Dome was thankfully intercepting rockets was not easy. But I want to tell you that we really felt you with us, and we watched as you stood up for us. Your incredible show of support at the many rallies held around the world and your voice for truth on social media will forever remain in the hearts of Israelis. We feel your support and are forever grateful to you for taking a stand. And we're watching as many of you experience anti-Semitic attacks in cities around the world and on social media. As a global Stand With Us community, we will always stand together against the ugly hatred that has historically haunted the Jewish people and continues to do so. We are one community standing against this hate. Thankfully, we now have a ceasefire here in Israel, but the anti-Semitic attacks and online hate continue. Please make sure you have the facts, and please take a stand where you can. Thank you for your ongoing support of the State of Israel and the Jewish people. 20 years ago, we didn't have a Stand With Us. Thank goodness we do now, and we have 20 years of experience fulfilling our mission of supporting Israel and fighting anti-Semitism. So happy birthday, Stand With Us, and let the celebrations begin. Welcome to the Stand With Us 20th birthday special. I'm Michael Dixon, and I'll be one of your hosts for this evening, along with other members of the Stand With Us team whom you'll be meeting tonight. And they're just part of the incredible staff that we've built over the past 20 years since our founding. 20 years that have been filled with many moments, both challenging and uplifting. Now everyone is vaccinated and complying with pandemic protocols, and coming up tonight, we'll have performances by Idan Reichel, Chagit Yasso, and a special message from the President of Israel, Reuven Rivlin. We'll also be sharing some hilarious moments by comedians who've entertained us through the years, so enjoy this special event.
Have you ever asked yourself how in only 20 years did Stand With Us go from an idea to having programs and offices on 5 continents? How did we create this movement from absolutely nothing?
People have literally approached our founders and asked them to write a book explaining the history and secret of our success. They want to know how Stand With Us became one of the world's largest pro-Israel forces on campus and high schools. From having one of the top pro-Israel social media reaches, to having one of the few Israel curriculums for young teens in middle schools, to having more educational resources available on more Israel-related subjects in a variety of languages than any other organization, and so much more. At the end of this 20th birthday special, we will reveal the Stand With Us secret sauce and tell you how we did it.
So stay with us throughout this special event as we take a look at our defining moments of the last 20 years and how the staff and lay leaders at Stand With Us were able so quickly and so successfully to grow this organization into a movement and make a difference for Israel and the Jewish people around the world.
You will laugh, you may cry, and above all, we hope that you'll share pride in our work. All of us should sleep better knowing that Stand With Us is always on the job. And now, let's listen to the winner of Kochav Nolad, Israeli Idol, from Sderot, Israel, Miss Hagit Yasso.
Happy birthday, Stand With Us. Thank you so much for your support of Israel. Please enjoy. שמעו אחי, אני עוד חי, ושתי עיניי עוד נישאות לאור. רבים חוכי, אך גם פרחי, ולפניי שנים רבות מספור. אני שואל ומתפלל, טוב שלא עבדה עוד התקווה. כן אני עוד חי, זה השיר של סבא, שר אתמול לאבא, והיום אני עוד חי, 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 עם ישראל חי, זה השיר של סבא, שר אתמול לאבא, והיום אני עוד חי, חי. עומים ימיי ולילותיי ובשמי עמוד האש עוד קם, אשיר בלי די אפרוס ידיי לידידיי אשר מעבר ים. אני שואל ומתפלל, טוב שלא עבדה עוד התקווה. של סבא, שר אתמול לאבא, והיום אני עוד חי, 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 עם ישראל חי, זה השיר של סבא, שר אתמול לאבא, והיום אני עוד חי, 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 עם ישראל חי, זה השיר של סבא, שר אתמול לאבא, והיום אני עוד חי, 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 אני עוד חי, חי, חי.
Hagit Yasso, everyone. Tonight we're going to highlight just 20 memorable moments at Stand With Us. Moments of challenge and inspiration, and ultimately moments of growth and accomplishment. 20 years of education about Israel, 20 years of inspiring people of different faiths and ages, and 20 years of combating anti-Semitism. Let's begin the countdown where it all began, at the home of Jerry and Roz Rothstein.
This is the very room we had our first meeting in 20 years ago. And if in the last 20 years we had developed a vibrant campus department and worked around the world just on campuses and did nothing else, I would have been very happy and very proud, and we would have said, enough, amazing, Dayenu. Or if we had developed either our high school program or our middle school departments and done all the work that we do in those departments, it would have been Dayenu. It would have been enough. Or if we had only developed our sign-off legal department with all of our pro bono attorneys and done the work that we do through that department, it would have been enough, Dayenu. But remarkably, we did it all and more ever since that first meeting right here 20 years ago.
So let's go back to before our first meeting. Between September of 2000 and May of 2001, there were 9 months of escalating violence against Israel during the Second Intifada, a war of terror launched against Israel. Horrific events were accompanied by misinformation and lies on college campuses and incomplete information in the media.
We knew that something needed to be done, but we thought that there were large organizations with serious strategies and big budgets getting ready to respond to what we were seeing at that time. We didn't know how wrong we were until we held that first meeting.
So it was May of 2001, following the murder of Kobe Mandel and Yosef Ishran, that we called an emergency meeting at our home. 50 people were invited, and more than 50 people showed up. Professionals representing all the various organizations we could think of inviting, from the Los Angeles Federation to ADL, the Board of Rabbis, rabbis from every denomination, the Museum of Tolerance, the Bureau of Jewish Education, Jews for Judaism, American Jewish Congress, and wonderful community lay leaders. All of them were invited, like Marty Janal.
That night, we learned that there were no organizations with strategies preparing to deal with the issues that would become our mission. We learned that every organization was involved in their own mission, great missions, but not the mission that was on our minds. We discovered that explaining Israel's challenges and responses, offering accurate context, standing with Israeli citizens against terrorism was an unfulfilled niche. I'm so grateful that my wife Susan and I attended that initial Stand With Us meeting. I have been involved doing pro bono legal work at Stand With Us, and Susan and I have served on the national board ever since our inception that night 20 years ago. And it is some of the most important volunteer leadership that I have been blessed to be able to do.
We started this organization right here in this house to do 3 things: to educate, to inspire people of all ages about Israel, and to fight anti-Semitism.
And to think, from that living room, Stand With Us became a global movement.
As we saw, Stand With Us began with a mission that has guided us the last 20 years to support Israel and fight anti-Semitism.
This is an organization that began out of necessity. And as we know, necessity is the mother of invention. The founders of Stand With Us saw a need and stepped up to help. It was hard for our founders to sit on the other side of the world and watch terrorism and hate target the lives of innocent civilians. I know all too well what that campaign of terrorism looked and felt like, as I lived in Israel at that time, riding buses every day despite the threat, and sadly losing 3 friends in just one suicide bombing.
As the grandson of Holocaust survivors, I am acutely aware of our people being targeted with violent anti-Semitism throughout history, and this story was once again being played out in Israel through suicide bombings and shooting attacks. And as we know, far too often, international media coverage left out important context providing Israel's perspective. Our founders and growing Stand With Us community knew they need to stand up against hate by making sure that Israel's story was being told.
One of the first major moments in Stand With Us history was in 2002 when 17,000 people showed up in front of the federal building in Los Angeles to stand with Israel and its citizens against terrorism.
It was prompted by the Park Hotel Passover massacre in March of 2002, when a suicide bomber murdered 30 civilians and injured 140. We wanted to make it clear that Israelis were sitting at a Passover Seder praying when they were targeted for murder by terrorists. We also wanted to make it clear to Israeli citizens that we, here outside of Israel, were feeling the pain of their loss, and that their loss was our loss.
Over the years, when something bad has happened in Israel, it was important for us to make sure that Israelis knew that they are not alone. It's also very important for people who live outside of Israel to feel connected and express a sense of solidarity with Israel. That's why we use our reach to rally people, to bring us together, and to make sure that our voices are heard.
On January 29, 2004, shortly before 9 a.m., a Palestinian suicide bomber detonated himself in the back of Egged bus number 19 in Jerusalem, near the official residence of the Prime Minister of Israel. The blast tore the bus apart, blowing the roof into the air and breaking all the windows. 11 people were murdered and more than 50 were injured. 13 people were in serious condition.
The remains of Bus 19 were taken from Israel to Holland and put on display outside the International Court of Justice at The Hague, where Israel was being put on trial for building a security fence to protect its citizens against suicide bombings like the one that murdered people on Bus 19.
Showing solidarity was so important to us during the early years of Stand With Us, and it still is today. When Israel was put on trial at The Hague, Raz Rastin, Dr. Roberta Said, and Alison Taylor flew across the globe to represent the Stand With Us community and join others who were protesting against this blatant anti-Semitic injustice.
So we gathered at The Hague along with other Jewish organizations. It was freezing. I will never forget standing at that protest with bus number 19 as a backdrop, with hundreds of other Jews from across Europe. And suddenly, there was a procession that passed us of over 1,000 Christians. Each one of them spent hours and even days traveling to stand up for Israel. Each one of them was holding a photo of an Israeli that was either murdered or maimed. All of the Jews stood in silence as the Christians passed us. Many of us cried. It was incredibly moving. And when they finished passing us, we stood for another full minute in silence. And then something happened. First, we sang Hatikva, while many of us cried. Then a few people started dancing, and then all the rest of us slowly joined in. It felt a little crazy, incoherent to the moment, but we all kind of understood it. We danced and we sang because in that moment we knew that the Jewish people were not alone. Christians came from all over Europe to help us stand against the terrorism targeting Jews and non-Jews in Israel. And they helped us stand against the absolute insanity of Israel being placed on trial for wanting to protect itself against terrorism by building a fence.
The ability to shine light on tragedy, to fight for justice, and to turn pain into inspiration is one of the things people realize about Israel and the Jewish people. And that inspiration is always reflected in the work of Stand With Us.
goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor four, and a major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 שמעתי שדוד הנים אקורד פלאים לאלוהים, ושאתה שונא תווים ידוע. אקורד עגום ומסתורי, מינור נופל, מז'ור ממריא, ומלך מבולבל שר הללויה, 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 But baby, I've been here before. I've seen this room and I walk this floor. I used to live alone before I knew ya. I've seen your flag on the marble arch, and love is not a victory march. It's a chord and it's a broken hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
Stand With Us has combated hate in so many ways over the years, whether by land, sea, or air. People laugh when they say this, but everyone knows it's true. Stand With Us is always there.
So, it's one thing to take a stand yourself, it's another to honor those taking a stand on your behalf. And over the years, Stand With Us has honored many amazing heroes who have stood with Israel and the Jewish people.
I'd won the medal for the state of Israel and for the Jewish nation watching all over the world, because we won that gold medal together.
% sure that this is a terrorist when I recognize that he's stabbing an old lady. During this moment, I understand that I'm probably going to be killed. This is an enemy which is determined, but I will fight him and I will win.
Please stand and join me in thanking the people who came to Israel's aid at her time of need, 7 of America's firefighter heroes.
I really appreciate all the things that you're doing for Israel and for the community, and it's really, really amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate it here, and we love you all. So, Yalla Fauda.
Stand With Us. It's a wonderful organization that's dedicated to stamping out hate around the world. Because my mother was a concentration camp survivor of Nazi Germany when she was 14 years of age. World War II wasn't so long ago. 100 million people perished because of hate. Stop it. Join us. Stand with us. Please.
I had no idea that Israel had, was a democracy. It had Christians, Arabs, all sort of people. This is not the image that we got on TV.
I want to thank you all at Stand With Us for standing with us, standing by Israel's side. Thank you for defending Israel. Thank you for defending the truth.
Lord, I believe that today's Israel may be the most remarkable country that has ever been created. And let me assure you, whatever the media, the intellectuals, BDS, and that whole crowd may say, there are millions of people in my country, not of Jewish faith or background, just as there are hundreds more around the world just like us, who join us in our admiration of what Israel has accomplished in its 71 years.
Israel has raised the entire Jewish people. It has given us back our dignity, our security. It has given back our pride. And that is why we must defend Israel. Every one of us must be an ambassador for Israel and why Israel is so high.
From our very beginnings, we recognized that far too many people lack basic information about Israel, that most people don't know or don't care about what's going on in Israel and the Middle East. We knew we had our work cut out for us, and you'll understand why when you see this next clip with comedian Mark Schiff.
You're from one of the, like we said, the biggest Muslim country in the world. How many Muslim countries are there in the world? 10, 23, 43, or 56?
Try and count them.
That would be, we'd run out of film.
Majority Muslim population.
Majority Muslim population, like in Indonesia.
23. 23?
It's more than that.
23?
I'm going to go with 23.
23. 43.
You only got 2 more to guess.
53.
It's 56. And how many Jewish countries are in the world? 1, 6, 13, or 20? 1, 6, 13, or 20?
7.
7. Yeah. That's all right.
13.
13.
I'm going to say 6.
15.
15 Jewish countries. Yeah, there's a lot of, especially in this area, you have a tremendous amount of Jewish people. That's true. What is Hamas? Do you know what it is? Is it a type of spread or dip? Is it a humanitarian aid group, a new music group that's coming up now, or a terrorist group?
Type of dip.
Dip. Yeah, you like Middle Eastern food?
Music group?
Yeah, they definitely, absolutely, Hamas does play music. There's no doubt about it. They're sort of, working things out, but maybe one day they'll be big.
Hummus?
Yeah.
The food?
Yeah, the food.
I don't know exactly what it is, but I love it, and you eat it with pita bread, and I think it's really good.
My favorite, olives, and it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really good.
Unbelievable.
Why are you so anti-Hamas? I mean, isn't pita bread the real enemy?
Hummus has nothing to do with Hamas. It's a food, okay? We eat it, they eat it.
It's vegetarian, it's healthy, it's beans.
Well, do you both agree on that?
We both agree that hummus is very healthy.
So we're making progress.
As a former Emerson Fellow,
I personally experienced the dedication of the Stand With Us campus department to help all students feel supported and inspired to share Israel with their diverse campus communities and to stand up against anti-Semitism wherever and whenever they see it. Now, through our Stand With Us Emerson Fellows and dedicated staff, we annually reach over 100,000 students with dynamic Israel programs and events. Today, I work at Stand With Us, helping other students just like me bring inspiring programs to their schools and help them deal with challenges just like the ones I faced.
When I graduated from university, I was thrilled to get a job at Stand With Us, working with college students. And now, years later, I live in Israel and have dedicated my life to teaching students from around the world about Israel's challenges, history, facts on the ground, and contributions to the world, not the least of which are in the cultural sphere. And who better to represent the beautiful and diverse culture of Israel than the amazing and talented Idan Reichel.
Hello, everyone, and happy birthday to Stand With Us. Thank you all for all you do to inspire and connect students to Israel and to fight anti-Semitism around the world. It's amazing how many students and adults are involved in your work and how your message spreads across the globe. So thank you for having me. Thank you for these last 20 years, and may you go from strength to strength. Please welcome the muted choir of Stand With Us. לא לפחד להתאהב, שישבר הלב, לא לפחד בדרך לאבד. לקום כל בוקר ולצאת אל החיים ולנסות הכל לפני שיגמר. לחפש מאיפה באנו ולחזור בסוף תמיד להתחלה. למצוא בכל דבר עוד יופי ולרקוד עד שנופלים מעייפות או אהבה. מכל הרגעים בזמן למצוא אחד לאחוז בו, להגיד שהגענו. תמיד לזכור לרגע לעצור ולהודות על מה שיש ומאיפה שבאנו. לחבק אותה בלילה כשהיא נרדמת אז כל העולם נרגע. לנשום אותה עמוק, לדעת שתמיד אני אהיה שם בשבילה. לא לפחד להתאהב, שישבר הלב, לא לפחד בדרך לאבד. לקום כל בוקר ולצאת אל החיים ולנסות הכל לפני שיגמר. לחפש מאיפה באנו ולחזור בסוף תמיד להתחלה. למצוא בכל דבר עוד יופי ולרקוד עד שנופלים מעייפות או אהבה. מכל הרגעים בזמן למצוא אחד לאחוז בו, להגיד שהגענו. תמיד לזכור לרגע לעצור ולהודות על מה שיש ומאיפה שבאנו. לחבק אותה בלילה כשהיא נרדמת אז כל העולם נרגע. לנשום אותה עמוק, לדעת שתמיד אני אהיה שם בשבילה. מכל הרגעים בזמן למצוא אחד לאחוז בו, להגיד שהגענו. תמיד לזכור לרגע לעצור ולהודות על מה שיש ומאיפה שבאנו. לחבק אותה בלילה כשהיא נרדמת אז כל העולם נרגע. לנשום אותה עמוק, לדעת שתמיד אני אהיה שם בשבילה.
Around the same time that we began the Emerson Fellowship, we also started a fellowship in Israeli universities with a mission to strengthen the voices of young Israelis so they can inspire and educate their peers and become future leaders for Israel and the Jewish people in Israel and abroad.
And we have Israeli fellows from campuses located across the country.
The Stand With Us Israel Fellowship is one of the most prestigious, sought-after programs of its kind in Israel. The fellows are truly the next generation of Israel's ambassadors and leaders representing their country on the world stage. And I know, I was a part of this incredible program, and today I lead Stand With Us Fellowship team here in Israel and couldn't be more proud of the work we're accomplishing.
התוכנית בשבילי הייתה המקום לעבור תכנים מדהימים, לפתח את כישורי המנהיגות וליישם כל כך הרבה רעיונות ודברים שרציתי לעשות מחוץ למסגרת הלימודית.
Our students come from every different background in Israel and from across the country. The one thing they have in common is their willingness to represent Israel and their belief in Zionism.
You really realize that it's 150 people from all over the country studying different things with different interests and different political views, and the one thing that we all agree on is that we want to stand up for our country and tell our country's story as best as we can.
מי שבא ממקום כזה ורוצה להעביר מסר חיובי ולחבר אנשים למסר, לא להפריד אנשים, בטוח שהוא יצליח, וזה דבר מאוד יפה שהארגון הזה עושה.
החלק הכי משמעותי עבורי בתוכנית הזו היה הפאנל פרויקטים, שבעצם לקחנו רעיון שכל הזמן חלמנו להגשים והוצאנו אותו לפועל.
האנשים שפוגשים בתוכנית הם כל כך מגוונים וכל כך שונים ופשוט לימדו אותי המון 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 על עצמי.
Stand with us.
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 As we grew our work on campuses, Stand With Us executives and boards realized that if they really wanted to support college students, we had to reach them in the high school, to train, educate, connect, and inspire them before they get to campus.
Every time Stand With Us has opened a new department, we did it methodically. We see the need, work with the good people to expand and grow, and always ensure we are working in strategic and effective ways. And we did just that when we opened the high school department in 2012.
The Stand With Us High School Department exists in order to be a resource for high school students and educators all around North America in Israel education. We work with high school students and provide them opportunities such as internships, fellowships, conferences, mentorship, materials, so that they can pursue Israel education in their communities and take that education to the next level.
One of the things that I've realized over the last few years with this program is that it has become one of the most important programs at Stand With Us.
In the Stand With Us High School department, we have 3 major programs: the Stand With Us High School Internship Program, the Teen Leadership Council Program, TLC for short, and general outreach to high school students all around North America.
The Stand With Us High School Internship brings together a diverse group of young leaders from differing backgrounds and viewpoints. The fantastic thing about our all expenses paid program is that we help students discover who they want to be as leaders and supporters of Israel. This internship is personalized for the individual student so they achieve growth and reach their potential. The internship is a 2-semester program for North American high school juniors and seniors. By the end of the school year, our Stand With Us high school interns will have done truly amazing things. They will have reached tens of thousands of their peers, started Israel clubs at all of their schools, and created a network of other teens in their communities who also want to challenge themselves to deepen their knowledge about Israel. The interns will have the tools and confidence that they need to become leaders on their future college campuses.
Through participating in the Stand With Us High School internship, I was able to provide my community members with education and facts and tools that Stand With Us gave me that I passed on to them and they can now use to defend Israel.
I became a resource for other people. I became a person that people could come up to and ask questions.
I think the most valuable part was having a great community of support around me.
The numbers speak for themselves. 74% of our Stand With Us high school internship alumni remain engaged with Stand With Us on campus, and 60% take on leadership roles.
This internship offers so many skills, so much knowledge. It's an opportunity you should definitely take.
The TLC program, Teen Leadership Council, is our newest program at Stand With Us. It's a semester-long program for high school students who want to get involved in Israel education, but might not be old enough or have the time to participate in the high school internship program. During the TLC program, the students participate in 4 online educational programs. They learn about professionalism, leadership, Israel education, Israel on campus, and successful programming techniques. They use those resources throughout the year and plan one program in their community to educate their peers about Israel.
Joining a TLC is a great way to meet a group of people who feel the same way as you do about Israel.
The amazing resources that I was provided with enabled me to become the Israel educator that I am today and helped me throughout my journey.
The general outreach that we do in high schools all around North America involves Israel education. We work with the educators in those institutions in order to plan innovative and fun Israel programs.
Standing with us was absolutely essential in maintaining a strong pro-Israel community. I could not have done any of my programs without Stand With Us, and our pro-Israel community would not be as strong as it is now without Stand With Us. I'm very blessed to have Stand With Us to give me the opportunity to partake in the pro-Israel movement.
I love Stand With Us because they show the other side of the story, which most people don't hear.
They send pamphlets, t-shirts, bottles, iPhone cases. So much is provided by Stand With Us for us to branch out on campus and spread the word.
I loved having access to all these incredible tools, and it's because of the relationship that I developed with my coordinator and the supervisors and the tools that they gave me to educate that I think I'm able to look back on my year and just be so proud of what I accomplished.
And we have other high school programs within our department, like our Teen Leadership Council and our presentations in public and private high schools. Altogether, our high school department reaches over 100,000 students each year. And our program includes Tevel, where we teach those same skills to Israeli high school students.
Just as in America, here in Israel, we recognize the need to invest in education early. Our Tevel program for Israeli high schoolers identifies ambassadors of the future and gives them an opportunity to represent their country. They may be young, but their charismatic and compelling voices and stories resonate on the world stage as they connect with fellow teens from the US, Canada, Morocco, and the Emirates, teaching them about Israel and learning about diplomacy in the process.
And Stand With Us would not enjoy the reach it has without our amazing partnership with hundreds of organizations all over the world. A great example is our recent partnership between numerous organizations working together to combat the ethnic studies curriculum threat across the United States.
In August 2019, something happened that really shook our organization and our entire community across the state of California. The California Department of Education released its first draft of an ethnic studies model curriculum, and the draft included pro-BDS propaganda, anti-Israel narratives, and even anti-Semitism. It completely excluded the Jewish community. It was outrageous.
One of our strengths is working with our vast network of high school students across the state of California. We've mobilized these students to speak out to their state legislators, education officials, and even the California State Department of Education.
We gave detailed feedback about every single draft and changes that we thought that they should make. And throughout that process, many of the changes that we recommended as an organization and our partners recommended did actually get implemented because so many people raised their voice. Because what we put out there to the world as calls to action, thousands and thousands and thousands of people responded.
We cannot allow anti-Semitism, anti-Israel bias, or Jewish exclusion to be institutionalized in public education.
We know that for many, many years to come, we're going to be fighting for your children and our children to make sure that ethnic studies courses uplift marginalized communities and don't tear down our community or any other, because that's the education that students across California and across the entire nation deserve.
Our partnerships have been critical in addressing the challenges that ethnic studies poses, but also incredibly important in addressing all of the other challenges our community faces.
My name is Craig Dershowitz. I am Artists for Israel's CEO. Artists for Israel prevents the spread of anti-Israel bigotry and battles the evils of anti-Semitism through art. Although we work across all influential contemporary art forms, we're probably most known for our international network of graffiti and street artists. And we have been working as a strong partner with Stand With Us for over 10 years. Together, we tell Israel's story on college campuses and in high schools, engaging hundreds of students per event, unifying them and helping them inspire their peers to learn more, all through the power of art. Stand With Us and Artists for Israel. We just stood up against anti-Semitism with a campaign called Dunk on Hate. And I look forward to so many more collaborations. I am honored by our partnership and the awesome work we have and we will continue to do together.
Hi, I'm Avi Gordon, Executive Director of Alums for Campus Fairness. We're the unifying alumni voice that counters anti-Semitism and anti-Israel rhetoric on campuses across the country. Look us up at campusfairness.org and join us. We are so proud of our strong partnership with Stand With Us. Stand With Us has given us the support and opportunity to grow into a strong force on campuses where alumni voices need to be heard. The founders of Alums for Campus Fairness are extremely grateful to Stand With Us for playing such a vital role in helping us grow. Thank you, Stand With Us.
Partnerships like these are pivotal to our work, and so are the partnerships Stand With Us has made in the Arab world.
My name is Hussein Abubakar, and I'm Egyptian American. I suffered persecution and possible death in Egypt only because I was interested in Israel and the Jewish people. I escaped and was given asylum in the United States, and thankfully, I immediately was connected with Stand With Us. Today, I'm a proud Stand With Us educator, and as part of my role, I have been helping to educate people in the Arab world. On this 20-year anniversary of Stand With Us, you should all know that we have many friends in the Arab world. The numbers are growing, and we are reaching millions of people through our Arabic social media pages. It's incredible that in our lifetime, we are able to see movement towards peace through the Abraham Peace Accords. This has, of course, inspired all of us at Stand With Us, and we started a campaign called the People's Abraham Accords, working with amazing leaders in this space, such as Emirati Global Shaper, Omar al-Busaidi, and Deputy Mayor of Jerusalem, Fleur Hassan Nahum.
So there's all this excitement and curiosity and just thirst for getting to know the other, just real warmth. This is why I believe this is a peace like no other.
Not only are the governments of these nations moving forward and making peace, but the people are connecting and pushing forward with grassroots relationships. Stand With Us initiated the People's Abraham Accords, connecting Emiratis and Bahrainis with Israelis of all backgrounds. We even initiated the Abraham Accords Youth Forum, connecting high school students from the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, the US, and Israel. Who would have thought we would see this progress and hope for peace in our lifetime? May many more countries sign on to partnership, understanding, and growth together with Israel.
אולי בקרוב, אולי אחרי החגים, מי יודע, מי יודע, אולי במקרה כשכבר לא תצפה, מי יודע, מי יודע, בדלת הזו או מחוץ לחלום, עוד הכל מחכה, בבוקר אחד או בערב כמו זה, אתה בטח תראה, ברגע חולף או בגשם שוטף, מי יודע, מי יודע, כשכולם ישנים ואף אחד לא רואה, מי יודע, מי יודע, וגם אם היה ונגמר, עוד הכל מחכה, גם אם רע וקשה וקרוב לקצה, אתה בטח תראה, ואם תשאל אז הלב יענה. ובלילה, בלילה, בשעות הקטנות, התפילות הפשוטות מבקשות, בלילה, בלילה, לחכות לתשובות כדי למצוא סיבה לקוות, לחכות לתשובות כדי למצוא סיבה לקוות. רגע לפני שבכלל לא תרצה, מי יודע, מי יודע, ולפני שתגיד שכבר לא משנה, מי יודע, מי יודע, ואם הטעם קצת מה ושורף בחזה, אז הכל יחכה, אתה כאן, יש עוד זמן, והכל ישתנה, אתה בטח תראה, ואם תשאל אז הלב יענה. ובלילה, בלילה, בשעות הקטנות, התפילות הפשוטות מבקשות, בלילה, בלילה, לחכות לתשובות כדי למצוא סיבה לקוות, לחכות לתשובות כדי למצוא סיבה. ובלילה, בלילה, בשעות הקטנות, התפילות הפשוטות מבקשות, בלילה, בלילה, לחכות לתשובות כדי למצוא סיבה, לחכות לתשובות כדי למצוא סיבה לקוות. Thank you.
I just became aware of this organization. It's a wonderful, Friends of Israel, you do wonderful work. You really do. You inform the kids on campuses from America, Canada, Israel. I mean, you touch so many people. And if this goes for another 10 years, so it'll be sit with us. But it'll still do the same job. You can't stand for 20 years. We can't do that.
Now, did you know that Stand With Us has been educating groups in Israel since 2006? And that in 2015, we expanded and moved our offices across from the King David Hotel, where our beautiful education center opened up right in the heart of Jerusalem on a street named Stand With Us.
The vision was to build a center where people can come and learn more so they can teach more. The Education Center provides a location and staff to lead a variety of events for the local community, students, tourists, internationals, and Israelis alike. At the center, All of these groups become better informed and more articulate advocates for Israel.
You are a real shareholder and a partner to us here in Jerusalem.
The Stand With Us Israel Education Center in Jerusalem, a home for learning and advocacy.
And tonight we have something special to share with you. We're announcing for the first time as part of this celebration that we are doubling our space and capacity, and that we will be growing our existing space to feature a new auditorium, visitors experience, and studio, increasing our capacity to host many more tens of thousands of visitors each year and enabling us to reach many more millions via video, social media, and via virtual learning. We cannot wait to welcome you and visitors from around the world back to Stand With Us Street and the brand new Stand With Us Education Center. We need your help to make this happen. So if you or your foundation are in a position to name the auditorium or other rooms, please contact us right away.
As we celebrate 20 years of Stand With Us, we are so excited to be able to invite you to join me and Jerry on our upcoming VIP mission to Israel. We have a few spots left if you act quickly. All of our trips are absolutely life-changing and memorable.
The trip takes place this coming October of 2021, when we will enjoy 5-star hotels and restaurants in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and even spend time in a spa in the Galilee.
We'll have exclusive briefings with government and army officials, enjoy a winery, explore and shop in Sfat, at Israeli shuks, and even visit the border with Gaza, as well as see archaeological sites in Jerusalem and so much more.
The trip will be fun, informative, and exciting. Our missions are always so successful that many of our participants have come back multiple times and have brought their friends. So join us on this 10-day trip that will last a lifetime.
Go to StandWithUsMission.com and make sure you reserve your spot before we fill up.
Yeah, we are having fun here today. They tell me very often that I don't explain about the songs, between the songs. So I wanted to say that the next song is in Hebrew. עכשיו הגיע הרגע, הרי חיכית לי ואני תמיד חיכיתי לך. הנה היום הזה הגיע, עכשיו מבטיח שאף פעם לא תהיי לבד. אם פתאום תעלמי, אחכה כל הלילה ואלחש בתפילה שאליי תחזרי. ואם תבואי אליי, אחכה כל הלילה ואלחש לך מילים שתדעי שאני שלך. ובבוקר תראי, נשאר ביחד, הולכים את הדרך הזו לתמיד יד ביד. ואם תבואי אליי, נשאר כל הלילה ואלחש לך מילים שתדעי שאני שלך. ובבוקר תראי, נשאר ביחד, הולכים את הדרך הזו לתמיד יד ביד. עכשיו הגיע הרגע, הרי חיכית לי ואני תמיד חיכיתי לך. הנה היום הזה הגיע, עכשיו מבטיח שאף פעם לא תהיי לבד. אם פתאום תעלמי, אחכה כל הלילה ואלחש בתפילה שאליי תחזרי. אם תבואי אליי, נשאר כל הלילה ואלחש לך מילים שתדעי שאני שלך. ובבוקר תראי, נשאר ביחד, הולכים את הדרך הזו לתמיד יד ביד. ואם תבואי אליי, שתדעי שאני שלך. ובבוקר תראי, נשאר ביחד, הולכים את הדרך הזו ותמיד יד ביד. So it's the 20th birthday, huh? So we need to sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, stand with us. Happy birthday to you. Again. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, stand with us. Happy birthday with you.
Working out is a tremendous waste of time, okay? It is. I know that. You see, the guy with a foot. But it is. It's a waste of time. A friend of mine runs marathons, and he's always talking about this runner's high, but he has to go 26 miles for it. That's why I smoke and drink. I get the same feeling from a flight of stairs. I'm saving time every day. It's an unusual combination, isn't it? By the way, laughs and then Israel. But this group, Roz and this group, fight. Stand with us, fights. Every day to just say there is a right and a wrong in the world, and we're not wrong.
Did you know Stand With Us is a leader on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms among pro-Israel organizations? During the latest conflict with Gaza, we opened up the Stand With Us Situation Room, where our team worked around the clock to get the truth out, even as Israel was under constant rocket fire. We provided breaking news, briefings, fact sheets, images, video, and so much more. As Israel battled Hamas, our analytics showed that we had over 100 million interactions across our many platforms. Our Pollock digital department reaches millions of people each week, including millions in the Arab world. Our social media presence has provided a huge platform for education, and we were even given the opportunity to teach then President of Israel, Shimon Peres, how to use Instagram. Take a look.
סטודנטים שניסו לשפר את התדמית של ישראל בעולם חשבו על דרך מקורית, מה שלא תמיד מצליח ברשתות הטלוויזיה ובעיתונים יעבוד אולי טוב יותר באמצעות הרשתות החברתיות באינטרנט. אז הם השיגו מימון לארח 10 צלמי אינסטגרם מובילים מהעולם ועודדו אותם לצלם כמה שיותר תמונות מישראל ולשתף. בן מיטלמן פגש אותם.
עשו לך פרסומת לחלבה.
נו, שיבואו יצלמו, בבקשה. איפה הם?
כמה רוכלים בשוק מחנה יהודה בירושלים אולי לא יודעים את זה, אבל היום הם הפכו לסלבריטאים עולמיים. בסמטאות השוק שלהם הסתובבו 10 צלמי אינסטגרם, אותה אפליקציה צילום שהפכה לתופעה חברתית. בצילומים של אותם אורחים צופים במצטבר למעלה מ2 מיליון איש בעולם.
Falafel? Falafel? This is the most amazing thing I've ever put in my mouth. It's definitely a good photo.
Could you hold the camera just a little lower?
הצלמים נבחרו בקפידה והוזמנו על ידי סטודנטים ישראלים מארגון StandWithUs שגייס את הכסף לצורך משימת ההסברה החדשה של ישראל. ביומיים האחרונים הצלמים הסתובבו בנווה צדק, בכותל, בשווקים, בחוף הים, וזכו יחדיו כבר לאלפי לייקים.
There's so much more to this country than we've ever been shown, so it's really exciting to be able to share our experience and let them know what it's really like.
What are we seeing here?
A little young Jewish boy looking out at the top of the city of David.
היום בצהריים ביקרו האורחים בבית הנשיא שמפעיל כמובן חשבון אינסטגרם בעצמו.
I'm very glad you came. You're welcome guests.
And if you want, you can stay here as long as you want. And they show you every time you'll find another angle and another view and another combination.
הצילומים האלה יעזרו להסברה הישראלית ולו במעט. צילומים כאלה בוודאי מזמינים יותר מצילומים אחרים שיוצאים מכאן מדי יום.
I'm Mina Rush, the Executive Director of the Stand With Us Middle School Department. In 2013, a study showed that 75% of Jewish students surveyed described their connection to Israel as somewhat to not at all. With support from Sandy and Larry Post, as well as David Jonas and others, Stand With Us opened a middle school division and created a curriculum called Israel Link. The goal is to connect kids to Israel. Each student's identity and values inform not just the how of their personal connection to Israel, but more significantly, the why. It is important to learn about Israel as the indigenous home of the Jewish people and the realization of the Zionist dream, the place that nurtured and developed the Jewish people, that established their identity, culture, and values, creating an evolving and resilient nation.
In my years of teaching, I haven't yet come across a curriculum like Link that teaches Israel through an interactive, experiential, technology-based curriculum.
It's a very high-quality lesson on Israel. The kids were really engaged, they had a lot to say during the discussion.
Link was developed with a team of innovative educators, curriculum developers, educational consultants, as a straightforward, unapologetic approach to Israel while leaving out any religious or political agenda. Lessons are delivered using today's interactive technology, smartboards, tablets, and interactive games. They're interacting in groups and they're creating a project together. It's collaborative learning.
So what I learned today was that whenever a country is in need of helping, Israel will go out and provide them with the help that they need.
They have all these great technologies and all this amazing innovations that they create. It's also the fact that they physically aid the rest of the world by giving them food and water and supplies when they're in a natural disaster or a genocide.
Even when all the countries around it want to try to destroy it and hate it, but Israel's always rises to the top and does so many great things for the world.
This isn't just a history lesson, it's not just a timeline, it's not just about politics. It really weaves different pieces together and helps students relate Israel and things going on currently in Israel with their own lives.
Israel will always be in my heart forever.
Wow, education and inspiration through the most creative and innovative educational methods. Amazing. Remember earlier in the program when we learned that this international organization began in a living room? Well, now, 20 years later, Stand With Us has chapters and programs all over the world, reaching people from Brazil, the UK, Canada, Europe, South Africa, all over the United States and beyond.
I feel a certain responsibility to step up and protect and support my community. Stand With Us has been extremely helpful. For my personal experience, is providing that support behind the scenes to students like myself to allow us to fight those fights that need to be fought on campus.
Stand With Us were there to give us resources from literature to funding. If there was ever anything negative, Stand With Us would be there straight away at the phone call, or they'd be there on campus to help us.
Here in Brazil and in Latin America, with information, teaching, classes, books, translation of the books that are very important from Israel into Portuguese in order to give to journalists and the media and follow a message of peace instead of a message of hate.
With their global reach, Stand With Us has shown the impact one organization can have by inspiring and reaching so many, as does our exemplary Stand With Us side of legal department. With over 200 pro bono attorneys across the United States, the Stand With Us legal team ensures that no one feels alone in the fight against anti-Semitism. And in 2019, Stand With Us opened our own Center for Combating Anti-Semitism, a division exclusively dedicated to addressing the continued rise of anti-Semitism around the globe.
Long live the Intifada! Long live the Intifada! Intifada, Intifada!
Jews will not replace us! Jews will not replace us!
We have to confront the dangerous hatred of Jews when it occurs, regardless of its source. Silence is not an option. Anti-Semitic incidents must be exposed in order to raise public awareness, pressure, and accountability. Anti-Semitic messaging, although false, is clear, simple, and consistently repeated, and that has allowed it to gain a foothold around the world. We need to be concerned, and we need to respond. By drawing bright red lines and repeating the clear, simple message that crossing those lines, targeting and harming Jews, is anti-Semitism, and it is unacceptable. That's what we at Stand With Us are doing through the Center for Combating Anti-Semitism.
שנה במכונית אני נוסע ומביט על מה היה ומה נהיה ואיך נפשי עוד הומייה מהמצדה שבזריחות ירושלים בסליחות מחוף כנרת ואכזיר מהמסיבות של תל אביב אבי חלם והתפלל שתעבור הקורונה מישראל היום ילדי אותי שואל מה הסיפור של ישראל כאן זה אבותינו שורשים ואנחנו הפרחים שבט אחים אותה שכונה אותו רחוב הסרבנים של יעקב אוספים ביחד נדודים בתוך תרמיל געגועים אדם ונוף מולדתו חורת קווים בכף ידו בין התפילות לנדרים ריחות פרדס של הדרים ובעיניה של אמי תמיד אמצא את מקומי על הגיטרה מתנגן ניגון עתיק שמכוון כאן זה בית, כאן זה לב ואותך אני לא עוזב אבותינו שורשים ואנחנו הפרחים המנגינות בראשית הכל תפור, טלאים טלאים של הסיפור, כמו שתי מילים להתחבר בחוט זהב של משורר. אני מכאן, אני שייך, וכל חבר שלי כמו אח, אתה פועמת בלבבי, אני מזרח מערבי, כאן זה בית, כאן זה לב, ואותך אני לא עושה שורשים, ואנחנו הפרחים המנגינות, כאן זה לב, ואותך אני לא עוזב, אבותינו שורשים, ואנחנו הפרחים המנגינות, שבט אחים ואחיות, שבט אחים ואחיות. Thank you. Thank you, stand with us. Mazal tov. Happy birthday.
Through a generous partnership with Evelyn and Dr. Shmuel Katz, Stand With Us has been able to produce cutting-edge print material for 2 decades. Students, community members, and activists worldwide have used our renowned booklets and fact sheets to educate the public about Israel.
What is the difference between Italians and Jews before we talk Israel?
Well, there's not a lot of difference, actually. The emphasis on family is pretty much the same. The emphasis on food. That's kind of why I like it. When I was in Israel, I felt like I was at my cousin Toby's wedding. Everybody, hey, I'm this, walk down the street. I liked it. It's very friendly. You feel like you're at home. So I think there's, again, I don't find a lot of difference with people. Right. I don't find it that all different. We all want the same thing for our children and the family, so that's why I support Israel.
We now have booklets in multiple languages, from English to Spanish, French, Portuguese, Chinese, Hebrew, Arabic, Farsi, Hindi, Korean, and more. And Adam and Gila Milstein have funded our incredible international conferences that have educated, inspired, and empowered thousands of high school and college students for Israel.
Stand With Us has been so successful over the past 20 years that The Forward has twice named Stand With Us' co-founder and CEO, Ruz Rothstein, one of the 50 most influential Jews in America. And the Jerusalem Post has twice named her one of the 50 most influential Jewish people in the world. We are so proud of our CEO, Ruz Rothstein, leading our international team at Stand With Us.
But here's the main reason why I'm so happy that Christmas trees aren't part of our traditions and our holidays. If it were, there would be 1,000 rules and regulations regarding the tree. There would be a tractate of Talmud, Masechet Ha'etz, and it would just be chapters and chapters of rabbis arguing about how you shecht the tree, where to shecht it, when to shecht it, if it has a blemish, can you even shecht it at all? What kind of tree must it be? Well, it cannot bear fruit because that would be destroying future food, but it must emit sap. You have to see a droplet of sap, a kazayit of sap, because to show it's a living tree, you can't cut down a tree that's already dead. You got to kill it yourself in the most humane way possible.
As we celebrate 20 years of fighting anti-Semitism and supporting Israel around the world, we are deeply honored to be joined by the President of the State of Israel, His Excellency, the Honourable Reuven Rivlin.
Dear Stand With Us, Mazel Tov, on your 20th birthday. Congratulations on 20 years of standing up for Israel. For 2 decades, you have been pioneers in educating people around the world about our Jewish and democratic homeland, and training pro-Israeli students, and in fighting online hate. From college campuses to the halls of power, in the face of terrorist attacks on Israel, and in the face of anti-Semitism on social media, we in Israel know that we can count on Stand With Us to stand by our side. Today, as you celebrate 20 years of supporting the State of Israel, we say, Toda Rabba. Toda Rabba to all the leaders, activists, and friends of Stand With Us. Thank you for your standing up for the truth, speaking out for peace, and inspiring the next generation of leaders. Thank you. Thank you all. Toda Rabba, and God bless you.
At the beginning of the show, we asked, how did Stand With Us grow from nothing to working successfully with hundreds of thousands of students each year, millions on social media, millions of booklets distributed, and a footprint on 5 continents? What are the elements that make up the secret sauce?
It's inspiration. If I'm really interested in something, and if it touches my heart, I will want to know more and share it with my friends. I will want to be involved. Stand With Us has inspired me and my classmates to want to learn more.
Inspiration and education are extremely important to the growth of Stand With Us and how we continue to go viral. But I would need to add one very important ingredient, and that is passion. This is not a normal job for the people who work at Stand With Us or who become part of our fellowships, internships, and even boards around the world. It's a passion. You can find us talking to other students or community members in the middle of the night. The passion is such a key ingredient, and nobody enters the world of Stand With Us without that passion. Not our staff, not our student leaders, and not even our lay leaders around the world. They just couldn't be part of the Stand With Us family without that passion. Our partnership across all the ages assumes and relies on that passion.
It's the inspiration, it's the information, and it's the passion. But there is one more thing that keeps us focused on our mission.
It's all of us, all the community, lay leaders around the world, the brilliant staff, and our student leaders, our users around the world. We are all partners.
It's the partnership of all of us.
If you have a mirror, look at it, because it's me and it's you, it's all of us together.
It's inspiration.
It's education.
It's passion.
It's partnership. It's strategy.
It's creativity. It's staying focused on the mission.
And it's you, all of you with us tonight, for supporting us for the last 20 years. You're the ones that have made the work that we do possible from Israel and around the world. Happy birthday, Stand With Us, and good night!